Further devastating revelations have now been made by the Global Fund and the Voice of the World in relation to the 7/7 bombings in London, and undertakings will be sought for a completely exhaustive investigation to determine complicity in the bombings by elements within the British government and the involvement of Tony Blair and any other person or organisation in this event. Always remember this: the truth has an uncanny knack of finding its way to the surface, no matter how much some people try to suppress it. Once someone starts telling lies, they have to tell more lies and bigger lies to cover up the first lot. As an example, if you're not sure about the lies from Tony Blair, just do some research into what Imran Khan, the famous cricketer, has to say about the matter. And now Brown is the same. Perpetual, constant war is all we get from these people. It's a reminder of those most ignorant and foolish comments in early 2001 from the former Archbishop of Canterbury, George Carey, of a so-called necessary war, when referring to the illegal criminal invasion of Afghanistan by Bush and Blair. Yet another example of how certain people and individuals in a position of influence and power are behind the monsters who comprise the economic and political elite, and who, if they are left to their own devices, will have all of us pursuing this never-ending and perpetual war against innocent, defenceless and impoverished countries and peoples. Just on this one point alone, it is now reported that Bush knew that the Guantanamo prisoners were innocent. The Voice of the World brought these matters to the attention of the world community on the 12th of February 2002, over 8 years ago. For confirmation of this, go to Chapter 1B of the Voice of the World main chapter index. Why are we there? Because the foreign policies of the US and UK governments have been hijacked by Zionist neocons, the economic elite who want this state of perpetual war, constant conflict, by the same people, the international financiers and money changers who are behind the military-industrial complex, the mass media and the oil and gas junta, and who own and control virtually all of the world's financial systems, starting of course with the US Federal Reserve, which is private and not publicly owned. In relation to Iraq and Afghanistan, the whole enterprise is legally and morally wrong and defective. So of course you end up in a situation where the whole thing is completely twisted and screwed up. The UK and the US are supposed to be there for Hamid Karzai and Afghanistan. Now Hamid Karzai makes the threat that he should join the Taliban. So what does that tell you about the reasons why the UK is there in the first place? What does that tell you about how much the sacrifice in men and money being made by the UK and US and their people is appreciated by the people we are told we are helping? It is nothing but another total fabrication and fraud from start to finish. The US and UK are not there to help the Afghan people. The US has been bombing and killing innocent Afghan civilians constantly now since October 2001. That's nearly 9 years. And if our people are dying there, it's because the Afghan people are having to act in self-defense to save themselves and their families. Who do they think they are fooling? Does it mean they have to kill the entire population before the likes of Bush, Cheney, Blair and Brown will say that we have allegedly made a dent in their so-called fabricated war against terrorism? How often have you seen a report card? How often have you seen a progress report from Tony Blair for whatever he is doing in his present role as Middle East envoy? Not one. Nothing from him to show justification for his presence there and the associated costs that go with it. China isn't worried about terrorism from innocent Afghans, neither is Russia, Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, Iran, South America, nor for that matter is the rest of the world. Can't you see it yet? Wake up, America. Wake up, Britain. Wake up, Australia, to what is going on. Wake up to who the real culprits are. Wake up to who it is that really threatens world peace. So coming back to the British election, if you vote the Conservatives in, is this what you want? 1. Perpetual, never-ending war, with the associated cost in lives and money. The lives of our servicemen and women and even more innocent Iraqi and Afghan civilians. Cameron has said nothing whatsoever about a cessation or withdrawal of UK involvement in Iraq or Afghanistan. 2. Ask yourself this question. Who is paying for this criminal, illegal operation? You. They tell you they have to increase taxes and charges and cut government spending and services after the election. Who loses again? You. They say the deficit is out of control, but they still think it's okay to spend billions more in Iraq and Afghanistan. They still think it's all right to sacrifice a whole lot more of your sons and daughters in these illegal, criminal operations. 3. A hike in VAT and other taxes and charges to pay for their vote-getting promises, contrary to what they will tell you now. If you think taxes are high enough now, wait until after the election. What people forget and what the politicians won't admit to is that in real terms, the level of taxation in the UK is already out of control and almost the highest in the world. The fact is, there is no reason whatsoever why taxation in every area cannot be left right where it is now, and in fact gradually reduced from present levels as the economy recovers after the appropriate steps are taken to cut waste and duplication at government level and to wrest back control of the money supply and the banking system from the ruthless and evil international bankers, the economic elite. 4. A hike in interest rates, which is obviously being held off until after the election. 5. A further hike in fuel, food and all other prices, which are being held off until after the election. We are about to see the catastrophic effects of wages falling further from their current levels, but at the same time a rising of prices, creating poverty and hardship on an unprecedented level. If you vote Conservative, they will blame this on forces within the economy over which they have no control. In the same way, the Labor government falsely blamed the subprime mortgage market in the United States for the credit crunch and the resulting depression. But they will have no compunction in an escalation of further taxes and charges against you. 6. Further cuts in pensions and benefits which are being held off until after the election.